What does it take to really share your deep, mystical story about who you really are, and how does trauma impact us on our spiritual awakening? Ooh, there's so much that we're going to share today with the gorgeous Lora Cheadle. She has a story I haven't heard before, but she tells me she's never, if rarely, shared this part of her story, of her awakening story. So it's going to be exciting. Stay tuned.
You got to accentuate the positive. I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hello and welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. And I've got the gorgeous Lora Cheadle with me online. Welcome to the show, Lora.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So I was playing with the cover images to this show, and I used a bit of clickbait. I see people doing this all the time. I never normally do it, but I've done 3 different covers for the show, and they're different on every platform. And today I put this one because I'm a curious person. When I see a cover like this, I've never shared this before. I'm like, what? What hasn't she shared before? So it works for me. So I figured I'd do that today. We're going to dive deep into Lora's story today that she hasn't or rarely shared live publicly before. And you've done a lot of podcasts. The gorgeous, the luscious ladies are online. The luscious ladies online. Hello, hello, hello. And here's another one. Heidi's from Boulder, Colorado. I was just asking Lora, actually, Heidi, where she was from. She was saying Colorado. So welcome. Great to have you on the show.
So excited to be here and to talk about all of this good stuff.
Let me just share a little bit of Lora's story with you. So Lora never set out to become a betrayal recovery coach, which is mostly what she talks about when she's on other people's podcasts, or a channel. But when she discovered that her husband of 23 years had been cheating on her for 15 of them, her entire reality shattered. She wasn't just grieving the relationship, she was grieving the self she had abandoned along the way. In the aftermath, Lora came to understand betrayal not as a personal failure, but as a soul-level initiation, a wake-up call to evolve beyond the roles she was playing and into the truth of who she was meant to become. Although Lora had always received intuitive guidance, this ruptured open a much deeper channel. That's when the Librarians came in, an interdimensional collective of wisdom keepers who hold the curriculum of humanity's soul lessons. Ooh, I love that. This is the part of your story you've not really shared before. Right. Unlike guides who focus on individual paths, the Librarians speak to the collective, what we're here to learn through experiences like betrayal, burnout, and loss, and how we can transmute pain into power, purpose, and truth. Their presence was undeniable, the message clear. This isn't just your healing, it's humanity's healing, and it's time to share it. And, people reach out to me. I think I've got at least 50 emails of people wanting to come on the show. But I in your email, you shared with me that you were really excited to sharing your spiritual awakening on the podcast. I want to be transparent and authentic. Right off the bat, most of my previous interviews, you say, focus on betrayal recovery, which is a bit like grief recovery. And you say that you've shared deeply from that journey, but the spiritual architecture of healing, the soul level guardian wisdom from the Librarians, the guidance that rose from the ashes, is something I've rarely spoken about publicly. So that's what we're going to speak about today, which is exciting. But before we get into the Librarians, they actually sound a bit like, I love the name, the Librarians. They sound a bit like what I reverently call my mob, because although I can speak to them personally about myself and about clients, a lot of the information they give me is very expanded, collective. It talks about humanity. It talks about other planets and the cosmos and the universe, and it's very much broader than the singular journey. Yeah. But yeah, let's hear a little bit of your story, because I don't know your story. She revealed to me just before we went live that you've been a lawyer, and what happened?
We'll start at the beginning. I felt like I was pretty spiritually connected as a kid. There was a ghost in my house. My mom and I both saw this little girl. So I was connected. I was open. And then as you grow up, I really thought growing up meant putting a lot of that stuff aside. So I focused on academics. I focused on, that's not real. That's not verifiable. That's just me being crazy or whatever. And I went to law school. I became a corporate attorney. I practiced law for 10 years. And I just thought that's childhood, my little fantasy childhood. But it's one of those things that is also hard to deny. You sense things, you smell things, you hear things. And I constantly had this voice in my head telling me things. For instance, the first time I saw my husband, I heard very clearly this voice in my head that said, "That's the man you're going to marry." And it was like, well, that's really interesting because I'm engaged to somebody else. So that doesn't even make sense at all. And then when I finally did meet this guy, it's like, oh, well, he's married. I'm engaged. That's a weird thing in my voice, or that's a weird voice in my head. Why did I hear that? Well, fast forward, I broke up with my fiance a year later. My husband broke up with his first wife a year later, and we did end up getting married. So intuition, things like that would come in at these random times, but I didn't consciously channel. I didn't consciously connect. Yeah. After I had my second baby, that's when I stepped away from practicing law because it was overwhelming and I was burning out, and my husband had gotten a job being out of state 2 weeks out of every month. And it was like, we can't do this. Something's got to give. And I stepped away from practicing law. And that's when I kind of got back into the spiritual realm again. I went back to school. I did a 2-year certified hypnotherapy program. I started, it was wonderful. Started following Doreen Virtue, it was like doing the angel therapy and like learned energy work. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm just going to come back into this world. But I still kind of thought it was a fun, fanciful world. It was not real. It was, you know what I mean? It's like, sure, I'm following my passion and I'm doing this, but it's not real. I loved it. Loved every minute of it. Thought I had a great marriage. Loved, staying home mostly with my kids, working part-time. I just thought I had the best life. I was having the most fun. My husband was amazing. I truly thought I've had it all. And that's when I found out that he had been cheating on me for 15 years with 5 women.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. And
5.
I kid you not, I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. I've got a lot to say about this. Sorry, there's all these, what are you saying here, Shelley? Does your experience as a lawyer assist you somehow?
Absolutely.
In the spiritual realm? Oh, interesting question, Shirley.
I love that.
Yeah, we're going to get back to hubby, but how does your experience as a lawyer assist you in the spiritual realm?
I think on a few different ways. The reason that I went to law school was because I was interested in justice, pursuing justice, creating justice, finding that balance on the. It's not. I'm not, but I should be. I'm an Aquarius, and that fits me too. But spiritually, I think it helps me understand that balance. It also helps me really determine what is my voice and what is the voice of the librarians. What is my head and what is spirit out there. So I think in a lot of different realms, it's like the balance of justice, the balance of karma, the balance of the individual and the collective. Like there's so many things as within, so without. And I'm just very cognizant of that inner and outer, good, bad, right, wrong, dark, light, like balance is my thing. And I think that really helps in my spiritual work for me to, it's evidence-based. I question myself, I analyze myself. And to me, it makes the spirituality even more valid because I have tested it within myself before. So I
Yeah.
know with every fiber of my being that it's balanced, that it's true, that it's right, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love what you said about playing in the spiritual world as something that was fun, but
Yeah.
it wasn't real. It's not real life.
Yes.
It's just you following
It's
your
fun.
bliss, following your
Yeah.
highest excitement, which is the
Yes.
guides, the emotional guidance system saying this is who you are. But my daughter feels exactly the same way. She is amazing. She's amazing at tapping into her guides and being intuitive, but she likes to play with it. She likes to play with it with her friends, but she feels exactly the same way you do. She's in her 30s.
Yeah.
It's not reality. Even though her mother
Right.
does this, right? Even though it is my reality, it's like, okay, it's your reality, Mom, but it's not real. It's not, like the medical world is real and first aid is real. And having those types of skills, not having access to spirit guides and past lives and stuff, it's fun, but how does it help you? That's how she feels too. So I get it. I've always seen it as real and how it helps you. After 5 years full-time study as a naturopath, I left thinking, I didn't see anything that was going to change the world. So I kept asking, and I think this does. But getting back to the betrayal, I know that you've spoken about this on many a podcast. It made you like, well, I won't put words in your mouth. Yeah. What do you want to say about that?
It was such a dark night of the soul. Everything fell away. My entire kid's childhood, you know what I mean? Like 15 years, they were 18 and 20 at the time. And it was like, nothing was real. Nothing was real. Who was I? I wasn't a wife. I wasn't like, what was real? It literally took my identity because I thought I knew who I was. I thought I knew how my life was. I thought I knew the family structure. I thought I could rely on all these different things. And suddenly nothing was real. Think about holidays, vacations, experiences. Like we would lay in bed and talk about things at night. What was real? What wasn't real? We had a friend down the street who had an affair, and we would lay there and talk about, oh my gosh, can you believe somebody would do that? And she doesn't know. And he's, and the whole
Oh
time you're
my
doing this
God.
too? Like,
Oh my God.
oh, yeah.
Can I say something on that? I reckon
Yeah.
as much as you were hurt, I reckon living that lie hurts more.
Yes.
You might be getting your rocks off with
Yes.
different people, but living the lie would, Jesus, imagine living your life. I've got to tell you a story.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, 30s, I had a furniture and homeware shop, and I had a manager. And that's a long story. But anyway, after I shut the shop, I moved in with her. And during that time, she found out that her relationship of 12 years, the same thing happened. He used to work in New Zealand and Australia. So he would be 2 weeks in Australia and 2 weeks in New Zealand. And that would happen every week or every couple of weeks. And she found out during that time, and she went sort of BS crazy and took it all out on me, which is another story. He had a whole family in New Zealand. He had a wife and a child. And he had been maintaining this relationship with a wife and a child and her. Like, so she was kind of the mistress, I suppose, in a way, but she never knew that. She thought she was the relationship. She thought it was her. And that sent her a bit loopy, and I got the brunt of that loopiness, I tell you what.
Yeah, it does. It makes you very, very crazed because you don't know what else is not true. If
Right.
everything that I can rely on, if my partner, my rock, my love, like if that can't be true, then what else out there is not true? But that,
Right.
Yeah, but that's the gift in it, because all of the things that I'm relying on, this real world, law, like you said, law, medicine, all these real things, I did everything right. Yes, it's the rug totally pulled out from under me. And it was that belief. If I'm a good person, good things are going to happen. I'm always kind. I'm always loving. I'm always generous. I'm spiritual. I'm meditating for everybody's highest good. So good things are going to happen to me. And then it's like, are you kidding? Like, I don't deserve this. And if I can't even control that, then what's real? And that for me was that tipping point. Like, you could go really dark really fast, because why bother trying if everybody out there is gonna, cheat on you or lie, or if this can happen to me and I try so hard, why even bother trying? And that's that moment where it really kicked in. Like, I try for me. This is for my soul. I am doing the right thing for my soul, for my guide. My husband hurt himself more than he hurt me. Like,
Oh,
living
yeah.
that, yeah, this is against him. This is not against me. And this is my moment where I can let all of those things go. And what do I know? Like somebody just said, trust. How can you trust? I start trusting my inner guidance. I can start trusting the greater good.
Mhm.
This is what I can rely on. No, you can't really trust anybody out there. You can't trust government people, politicians. I can trust my internal sense. And I know I can handle anything now because it's all been taken away from me.
Mhm.
And I know where that trust is. It's within. It's not external. It's within. So I became unshakable. Do I want to get hurt again? Oh, heck no. But can I handle anything? Yes. Yes, I can, because I am so firmly connected to me, to my guides, to all the things that are really real. And those things that are really real aren't the things we have in our everyday life and belief system.
Yeah. Yeah. You call it betrayal, but I have a totally different perspective on this whole relationship game we play on planet Earth.
Mm.
My best friend, who I was telling you about before we went live, said to me when we were in our 20s that she had an open relationship with her husband where she understood that she couldn't be all and everything to him, and that he couldn't be all and everything to her. They were best friends, but they allowed each other to have sex with other people. They had an open relationship. And I was really upset about that. Like, how can you do this, coming from that moral perspective? And she said, oh, I can imagine myself living in a harem. I think she had these connections. She was
Wow.
really psychic and spiritual, but she didn't go down that path so much. She was too busy, caught up
Mhm.
with the normal things, babies, wife, money, parties,
Yep.
whatever, businesses. And she said, I can imagine being in a harem. Can you imagine when you don't feel like having sex with your husband one night, you just, one of the other wives do it for you, and then you've got women that live with you that you can talk with and have good times with, and they can share in the raising of the children, and they can share in the housework. And she gave me this whole story about living in a harem. And I remember contemplating it. I was in my late 2030s, and I thought, yeah, actually, that'd be
Wow.
really cool.
Wouldn't be so bad.
Wouldn't be so bad. Yeah, you'd have a group of
Exactly.
women in your house. You didn't have to do everything, because I was one of those wives that did everything, ran the business, brought up the
Oh, yeah.
child, did the housework, like just did everything, and resented my husband for not doing more. And then I
Yeah.
contemplated having all this help. And even when I didn't want to have sex, I could, somebody else could do the sex. And I'm like, yeah.
This isn't bad.
And then when the manager of my shop, went back BS crazy because her husband was cheating, I was thinking, if they'd had a more enlightened view,
Mhm.
the two women could have been fine with each other. Like, you have him for 2 weeks and I have him for 2 weeks. It's cool.
Right.
We're sharing him.
Right.
It could have been a nice arrangement. That's how I think, anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, the problem isn't what you do. The problem is not talking about it and having two separate sets of expectations. The problem truly is the lying, because I felt like he took away my free will.
Yeah.
If this was his decision he was making, I needed to be a part of it because it impacted my life. It impacted my health. It impacted all of these different things. And it's like, it's the keeping of the secrets that's really the problem.
It's the lying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I had a partner in between husbands, actually. And we met and tried to have a relationship. It didn't happen. And then he met somebody else. And then we came back together, and there was undeniable chemistry that we couldn't ignore. And so we started a relationship. But he was now in this relationship with somebody else.
Mhm.
And I was the secret, but I knew all about her. And he would be in my bed at night telling me about his problems in bed with her, and I'd be counseling him. So I was completely sharing him. And he taught me how to share somebody and be completely okay with it. And all my girlfriends would say, don't you feel less than, diminished in some way? And I'm like, no, I don't.
I feel fine.
But I think that was because I agreed to it. Like, I wasn't in the dark. There
Exactly.
wasn't any lying. But the poor other woman, I broke it off with him, and he ended up marrying this woman. I kept saying to him, you have to
gotta
tell her
tell.
about me. Yeah. And he never did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're going to enter a marriage with this lie? Like, because we were together for about a year and a half, pretty
Yeah.
much the whole time, the two of us.
Yeah.
And
The lying, and it's the lying that's the problem. And then it creates so many different layers. As we started unpacking this, the reason my husband cheated, he has a severe trauma background. He was in foster care, poverty, abuse, severe abuse, neglect. So he is in this he has complex PTSD. So he's in this was in this constant hypervigilant state. And anytime things would be like really good in our life, he would think, okay, it's about to go. Lora is lying to me. She's got somebody else on the side. She's going to leave me. So he would go out and cheat because he's like, I'm going to be safe that way. And then any times we'd have a tough time, it would be the same thing. Okay, this is it. This time it's going to happen. I'm going to go out and get somebody so I'm not hurt.
Yeah.
But then, and then he would come back, come home, whatever. Things would be normal. Things would be good again. And then this guilt, the shame cycle would kick in.
Yeah.
Because it didn't, because things weren't falling apart. So then he would start picking fights with me. And I'd always be like, wow, he has this weird moody thing. And I'd always think, it's his job. He's a high stress career. It's his job. But it's that it created so many strands of lies that fights really weren't about what I thought they were about. And I was like you, I tried to be this perfect wife, this perfect mom, to take care of anything. And it's like, well, if he's really upset about these things, I need to step up and I can be a better partner and it wasn't about that. And that's where some of that rage comes in. Like, are you kidding me? For so long, I thought it was about this, but it wasn't. And then, you look back on this other time and it was about this, but what was really going on was, wait a minute. And that's why it's so destabilizing, because then you're left with what really was true then. And why was I trying so hard when that's not even what it was about? And that felt like such a cheap shot to keep me in the dark for that long over that many different things.
Yeah. So the betrayal that you felt was the story you told yourself about you. Who am I? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. Those yada, yada, yada stories. We tell ourselves.
And how could I not notice?
And how could I, be so blind? How could I be so stupid? That's what I was saying, when I fall over and hurt myself. If you beat yourself up, you're in more pain. But if you accept it, the pain, you heal instantly. But the story was all about him. It wasn't anything to do with you. It was all about him.
Exactly. All
a
about
man
him.
in pain. Yeah, a man in pain. It really had nothing to do with you.
No.
I was trying to get this point across to a girlfriend many years ago when we were young. I don't know, wisdom was flowing through me. I wasn't always living it, I've got to say, Laura, but someone had broken up with her and we were at a bar and she was crying in her drink And I'm saying, it's not about you, it's about him. It's got
Mhm.
nothing to do with your worth, because we do. When someone breaks up, it's like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong
Yeah.
with me? Why aren't
Yeah.
I good enough? Why can't people love me? That's where we go. But it's got nothing to
Yeah.
do with that.
Nothing.
Yeah, what's
And
wrong
what
with me, Mish says. Yeah. What's wrong with
exactly.
me? Nothing's wrong with you. You
Nothing.
are an
And
extension of source energy. You are beautiful.
exactly. And what made it so confusing, I mean, we've unpacked this all now, but what made it really confusing at the time too, the women that he would cheat. And I get this sounds really mean and judgmental, but I try. I'm educated. I try. He would cheat with like, very low class women. Most of them were like at least 150 pounds heavier than I am. And I think, why? Like, you have a nice home, you have a nice family, you have a nice wife who's trying to keep herself in shape, who initiates intelligent conversations, and why would you go there? Like, if it's somebody that is so much better than me and you're actually really getting these deep needs met, but why are you cheating so far down? And
Yeah,
that was really confusing.
that's still a story about you.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When it has
And I
nothing to do
couldn't
with you.
let that go. Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't let that go because I
For a
think
while.
oh, exactly. Yeah, it took a
Until you
while.
until you met your mob.
Exactly.
And they set you straight. Let's
Yeah.
jump to the mob. So you were in suffering and pain and beating up on yourself, and what's wrong with me? Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
despair.
And
Yeah,
why
total
would he want to
despair.
be with people that are less than me? And what's wrong
Right.
with me?
What
God,
does this
I
mean about
have
me?
played that story so many times. Seriously, I think every woman who has ever been broken up with has played that story. God, that
Totally.
was when I was young, that was a constant. What's wrong with me? I'm not
Yes.
thin enough. I'm not pretty enough.
Pretty enough.
I remember my mother, who was so gorgeous. She used to say, I'm too tall. Men don't like tall women. We make it all, what's wrong
All
with
about
us?
us.
Mm.
Yeah, all about us. Mhm.
And how did
Yeah.
you meet the gang, the
Yeah,
mob,
I was
librarian?
exactly, the librarians. I was on a flight, and
Mhm.
I'm sure you've had this experience where it's at night, and it's, like, right before you go to bed, and it's almost like you're having a conversation, and then as soon as you become aware of that conversation, it disappears, and you're like, "Dang, I was, like, getting this amazing wisdom, and it disappeared because I woke up." I was
Mhm.
on a flight and I was having that kind of a, experience where I'm just hearing this wisdom come in and I'm engaged. I'm out of body. I'm on this astral plane having this conversation. And all of a sudden I thought, oh, I'm like having a conversation and I'm awake and the conversation isn't going away.
Mhm.
So I just kept talking and I was like, well, who are you and why are you here? And are you the voice that has been with me in the past? And that's when they said, yes, they are the librarians. And what they do is they keep the records of the collective.
Love
They're
it.
in, yeah, like the Akashic realm. We all
Yeah.
have our own personal records, but they're like
Mhm.
above our own personal records and they pull the lesson. So all the people who have had like a near death experience, they collect all the information on that. All the people
Absolutely.
that have had betrayal, here's the
Mhm.
lessons they collect around that. All the people that have done judgment or abandonment or whatever, they collect the wisdom. And they said what's really important about that is we get so stuck in our own personal karma, our own personal journey, our own personal learning. But what we don't realize is we are learning on behalf of the collective. And on a spiritual level, like betrayal, okay, I got that. Near death experience, oh, I got that. We talked earlier about like suicide. Well, I've got that lesson. All these different lessons were like, volunteering, we're the tribute volunteering for that lesson, and it's like, okay, I've
Yeah.
got that one covered. And
Yeah.
when we learn, it's also like the 100 monkey theory. And the 100 monkey theory is like when one monkey will learn how to do something, and then all of a sudden it like transmutes through the entire collective. And in the research, it was like these monkeys on this other island learned how to, I think it was wash their fruit.
Wash their
Monkeys on
sweet potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, wash their sweet potatoes. So it's like these monkeys learn how to do it, and then suddenly that knowledge jumps. That's the collective. So
Critical
if
mass. Critical
Exactly.
mass. Yeah.
Yeah, total critical mass. So
Mm.
if I can learn how to transmute betrayal and you can learn how to do this and we all elevate so quick. And then those lessons, they tell me, can be put behind us as a
Yeah.
collective. That's the elevation of society that we're talking about.
Absolutely. I love this conversation because I have a lot of conversations on the show about death, which is, when I asked my guides years ago, what's the thing that creates the most trauma, pain on the planet? And they said, your idea of death. Sure, we do the betrayal thing. We feel betrayed. We feel betrayed by family members and husbands and partners and friends. And, we do the betrayal thing. But death is the thing that creates so much grief. And if we can transmute that trauma of death, like that's going to, everyone that transmutes that trauma of death is doing that for the collective too. What's Brady saying here? Brick Fur. My teenage daughter says, Dad, men always cheat with someone who isn't as pretty as their partner. Really? She said that? Don't know if that's true, but interesting to sort of hear that here.
What they say, and this is interesting with the women that I've worked with, but same thing with the research around it. You cheat with somebody who mirrors back how you feel about yourself on the inside.
Oh, wow.
And
Interesting.
nobody feels good about this level of deception, lie, cheat, steal. So you feel so bad about yourself, you attract that. And like what my husband would say as we were unpacking all of this is his mom abused him horrifically. I mean, the abuse was next level abuse. He said he was always looking for people. She's bipolar. She's like all the things. She's also a drug and alcohol addict. He said he was always looking for somebody that reminded him of her because subconsciously he'd think, well, I can fix her. I can't fix my mom and I can't get the love and attention from her. And he was taken away, foster care and all that. But okay, I can do it from her. I can do it from her. I can do it from her. I can do it for her. And that reflected how he saw himself. And he would think, I don't really feel worthy of my home, my family. I'll just go fix this wound. So he's fixing his childhood trauma, and it had nothing to do with me.
With you. Yeah. I love Brady. Great to see you online. Brady says, holy smokes.
And it makes sense. I mean, that's the weird part about it. It makes sense. You know what I mean? You're
totally
raised
makes
in
sense.
trauma, chaos, you seek it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say to my girlfriends and my clients who knew that they were here to help humanity heal in some way, but you have to heal yourself first before you can help anybody else. And they would attract the wound that they were carrying in the partner. And then they would see the wound and they would say, but I can fix him. I can fix her. And I'd say, stop dating your clients, charge them.
Exactly.
Fix it in yourself first and stop dating them.
Yeah.
Again, poor old
and I
daughter,
love
but
that
I've seen her do that with her boyfriends too. And one night I was going to bed and I was frustrated at hearing yet another betrayal story from her, from some fellow. And I'm like, why can't she just attract some nice young man and, settle down? Typical mum thought, right? And my guides came in and they said, well, that wouldn't do at all. And I said, what? And they said, how else is she going to know about all these negative emotions if she doesn't experience it from herself? She's using her relationships like university for betrayal, fear, all the stuff that we need to learn about. If you're a healer and you need to experience that which you're healing for others, if you've never experienced any of that, like, how can you relate? And I totally got it in that moment. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because they're not going to teach that in university.
No.
Like, let me betray you. And so you learn it in the relationships.
Yeah. The tagline for my business, like my whole thing, is set up around betrayal uncovers the truth, not only about your partner, but most importantly about you.
Yeah.
And that betrayal mirror for me really brought to light, how am I betraying myself?
Right.
And it was like, wow, when I seek to be perfect, when I take care of everybody else, when I am betraying my own needs, so often, and I don't even realize it. That resentment you feel, like you were talking about, you do everything and then resent it. That was
Mm,
my life.
mm,
And it was like that self-betrayal. I would put myself last. I would even say with my husband and the kids, I'd be like, "Okay, tell me your schedule and I'll fill myself in the cracks. Drive the kids here,
right.
pick this up here, do that. Is there time for me? Then I'll do it." Instead of, "Hey guys, I have a yoga class at this time. You figure out another thing." Nope. I put myself last. And that's self-betrayal I wouldn't have seen if I hadn't gone through this experience.
Mm. So tell me, when you're on the plane and you understood that you were being spoken to by a collective, by the
Mhm.
librarians,
Yeah.
did they say why they were talking to you as opposed to your higher self angel, guardian angel or spirit guide that was there specifically to counsel you in your time of need? Because it
Yeah.
seems like this big collective came to you in your time of need. Did
Mhm.
they say why they came to you? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and that ties in that first earlier question about, like, how does my legal training do it?
Yeah.
Because of the research. That's why they came to me. They're like, "You are the librarian. You study things, you classify things, you categorize things, you understand it in the way that they do it." And that's why they said they came to me because I can I can hear them. I'm hearing them now. I can hear them. I can engage with it, but then I can be the resource. It's not that I am healing you, but I am in this realm of healing and I can hand the right resources because I too can act for the librarians for people. I can bring in this wisdom, but then I can also bring in, like, oh, here's what I know about energy work. Here's what I know about hypnosis. Here's what I know about all these different things that I act as the librarian as well, passing on this information to people. And then people who want to take advantage of it and heal, then they absolutely can. And then similarly, because there are people who are like, okay, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I'm just going to go be a victim the rest of my life. They
Mhm.
can, but it's my role as the attorney, the justice provider. I am giving you the tools that you need to create justice in your own life with your own experience.
Mm, mm.
Mhm.
I love the sound of them, the librarians. They sound somewhat, their description sounds somewhat similar to the way that my guides, I call them reverently the mob,
Yeah.
have shown me who they are. They said, you're looking for identity and personality, and that's fine. We can display that if that's what you need. But
Mhm.
we are a collective of wisdom. Imagine everything
Yeah.
that's been experienced on earth, like the history of all that, like all the experiences that people have had on earth and the lessons they've gained from that, like all that wisdom
Yeah.
is who we are and who you tap into. And I guess you could say it's like a library
Mhm.
or to put it in more like a cloud, of information, go up to the cloud and tap into the cloud. But yeah, in the Law of One books, they call it a social memory complex, the Ra energy that was channeling through, I can't remember the girl's name that brought through the Law of One. Have you heard of the Law of One books?
I have, but I haven't
Yeah,
read. Yeah.
so this entity called Ra, and she's like, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm a social memory complex of Venus." So this
Mhm.
planet that lived for eons of time and then died out, like all the information that everything went on, there was this library of knowledge,
Yeah.
and that's what this entity called Ra said about himself, like that social memory complex. I just loved
I
those
love
words.
that.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, I don't think any of us need to be special to tap into that. It's like
Mm-mm.
the library. It's available to it. It's free to enter.
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know, you don't need a
Yeah.
library card. Just go there. You
Just
can tap
go.
into that information. Yeah.
Mhm. And the important thing that they tell me, not only are we tapping into it, but our experiences are creating it. And
Right.
that, when I was
Yeah.
talking about that balance earlier, as within,
Mhm.
so without, yes, I take from it, but I also give to it in everything that I do. And that can
Mhm.
also really help me understand, like, I do need to do a good job at this. For me to dive into victimhood, that's not gonna help me, but that's also not gonna help the collective. It's a choice, but
Right.
you know what? Because sometimes we'll do it on behalf of somebody else instead of doing it for ourselves. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're like, well, if it's for my kids, I'll do it. Well, if it's for my friends, I'll do it. But if it's for me, I don't really need it. And just having that understanding that what I'm learning also benefits the collective. It's not just about me. It's a higher level of accountability. It's a higher level of understanding. So yes, I'm taking the information, but I'm also contributing to it. And I want to contribute high quality information because it
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, my spiritual awakening, my spiritual growth, my consciousness evolution is not just my story, it's everybody's story. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
it not just for me, for everybody else. I so know that, if I've got to do something for someone, I'll do it. But if I do it for me, I'll put it off. I'll do that later. I'll do that
Yes.
later. I so know that. But yeah,
Yeah.
we are the collective. We are one with everybody
Mhm.
else. We are you,
Yeah.
I'm you.
Yeah, and it's that ancestral piece. Like, I'm doing this on behalf of women everywhere because women have been lied to, manipulated, betrayed. For years, we have not had a voice. For years, we have not had power. And I am a part of, you know what? I'm going to speak about this. I'm going, I even going on the spiritual piece, the witch trials, all of that stuff. I'm going to be so powerfully who I am. I'm going to speak against the patriarchy. I'm going to speak against whoever is putting me down, not only to heal the past, but to carry it forward and to create a higher level for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
What else? Oh, it's 10:10 here. What else have the collective shared with you? Like once you started having conversations with them about
Mm.
empowerment and women in the collective and women in history and betrayal, what else would they share with you? Would they share willingly or would you have to ask questions?
Um, a little bit of both. The relationship that I have with them, I always say, I am open to whatever knowledge that you have to give me. If I'm about to walk into something, if somebody needs to notice it, I am here. I am always willing to listen. If I don't want to listen in that moment, yes, I can say, no, I don't need to hear that. But I say to them, please stay connected with me. I am an open channel. I will be that clear channel. So yes, I will sometimes hear things coming through from them. And then I will also ask them questions. And then similar to how we might be prompting AI right now, sometimes I will ask
Yeah.
them like, okay, thank you for this information. What have I missed? What
Yeah.
have I failed to ask that would help me in this situation? And I love that because that's where it tends to go really, really deep. And it's such a variety of wisdom. I mean, yes, they talk about the individuals. Yes, they talk about the collective. Yes, they talk about history, but then they'll also talk about some of the different things. Like when we were talking before the show, we were talking about healing and not focusing on the healing creates more healing. And they'll talk about some things like that. Like one of the things that they talk about is, since I've mentioned I'm so big into balance, my husband was abused for 15 years horrifically. He cheated on me for 15 years. Okay, so there's
Wow.
that maybe yeah,
Balance. Yeah.
cosmic
Mhm.
balance, but what
Cosmic
does this
balance.
right, but then what does this mean for me? Now because hurt people hurt people. Does this mean
Mhm.
I need to go out and hurt people? And they're like, "No, you can alchemize, you can transmute." And that's what we're moving into as the collective. It's not about justice and balance the way we have seen it. It's not about the eye for an eye, it's about the transmutation and alchemizing pain. And that's like that next level of consciousness that we're going into. It's like we were talking about before, this 5D reality.
Mhm.
It's about
Mhm.
stopping that because it's not that old school balance. How do we transmute? How do we transcend? And that's been what I work on for me personally, again, with the librarians. Like, okay, I'm hurt in this situation. This was not fair in this situation. What do I need to do to create from this situation?
Yeah, absolutely. And Susan says here, Yes, yeah. I learned that my number one betrayal was with myself. Saw that in hypnotherapy, my favorite healing modality. You said that you studied hypnotherapy. Do you practice it as well,
I
or?
do, I do,
Mm,
I do. Yeah, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and I use it. I use it in conjunction with the librarians because that's one of those things. Okay, where is the mental block? What do we need to rewire around this? And hypnotherapy, for those who don't know, it bypasses the conscious portion of the brain where our defenses lie. This doesn't work. This can't be right. This isn't going to work. You go below that conscious portion and you tap into the subconscious. So healing is much more rapid
yeah,
than it would be
yeah,
otherwise. And it's extraordinarily powerful.
yeah. I
Mhm.
think I heard you say on another show that, when you're healing betrayal, a more mainstream show where we weren't talking about guides and
Exactly.
librarians, it wasn't your fault. So
No.
stop blaming yourself because and as I was listening, I was thinking, I think it was the last show you posted on your Facebook page with that gorgeous psychiatrist.
Okay.
And I was thinking, well, it might not be our fault, but definitely at some level we've chosen it. So we've had
Yes.
an agreement with our partner,
Yes.
like, when
Yes.
we come to earth, you're going to betray me for 15 years and that's going to give me a spiritual awakening, and then I'm going to teach this to others and heal the world. So there is an agreement. So we're not victims
Yes.
of circumstance, where we've designed it. And I think that most people find it really difficult to think that the traumatic things that have happened to them, they've designed
Yeah. Can I
from
blow
some
your
level.
mind?
Yes, please do. Blow it away, girl.
Because yes, that's it. Um, my husband and I are still together.
Nice.
We did all of this work and all of this understanding around it. We dove deep into those soul lessons. He was here to experience unconditional love. He never got unconditional love from a person in his life. That's my gift that I have given to him. What I needed from him was to step into my power. I was always the good girl. I was always silencing my voice. This set me free. Really, I channel and I'm a lawyer. And guess what else? I dance burlesque. And guess what? I get to. And it's about me embodying and being bold about those things. Like, yes, I can be a lawyer, I can dance burlesque, and I can channel. And that's not weird. That's me. So this gift of betrayal set me free to be unapologetically myself and let him
Beautiful.
understand and experience unconditional love. Then our soul contract ended. And we had been in, it was about a year of what are we going to do? Are we going to stay together? Because our soul contract ended. And I have not talked about that before. And we're like, well, is it easier or do we want to? And it's taken a lot of time. And we've decided that, yes, we're going to stay together, but we don't exactly know why. We've just decided we are choosing to stay together. But that
Choice.
contract has ended. And
Yeah.
what I'm hearing now is we've got some other contracts that we can now enter between each other, or we can just live and have fun. And we're talking about that consciously. Sometimes he's like, "Can we just live and have fun?" And I'll be like, "Well, yeah, but maybe we should tackle something else too." And then sometimes I'm like, "No, no, no, we just need to have fun together." And he'll be like, "Yeah, but we could really make some changes if we do this." So it's it's constantly evolving. That
I just
we
think that's so beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
to hear, that's forgiveness and getting over it and moving on and being happy and not holding on to resentment and betrayal, like not holding on to all that crap. I think
Yeah.
that's so beautiful. And
Mhm.
so I love what you said about the soul contract ending. I'm going
It's
to I'm going to
yeah,
get back to it. I need to do a station ID break. Where's my little
okay.
thing here? And then we'll get back to soul contracts
Okay.
ending. Elevate UFL. Here we go.
You're listening to ATP Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM. Syndicated radio hitting about 120 countries and streaming on 8 platforms.
And my guest today is Lora Cheadle. She's sharing things she's never shared before. We're talking about soul contracts and spirit guides that are a part of a interdimensional collective consciousness called the Librarians. Normally she talks more on a mainstream level about betrayal and overcoming betrayal, but we're going there today. And thank you for choosing this show to come out of that mystical spiritual closet with me. But I've had many partners, long-term and short-term, where I felt that contract ending. Remember I said I was with the fellow that was with me and with another woman who eventually ended up marrying. There was a bond keeping us together that was undeniable. And then one day he's at my place and we're talking and he's pacing up and down my living room. And I looked up at him and I said, "This is finished." And he goes, "No, it's never finished between you and I." And I'm like, "No, contract's finished." Like I had this really clear, it's done, it's dusted. We came together and we gave, we learned what we needed to learn from each other. I learned a lot. And I'm like, done. And he was in denial. But it's funny, I never saw him again after that. Like circumstances just didn't make it happen. We spoke on the phone, but I never, and again with somebody else that I came together with for a period of months, and we were having a lovely time, and I was learning a lot about unconditional, not judgment, because I was judging him a lot, and my guides are saying, stop judging him. And I was learning about that. And one night I said to him, "This is finished." And he said the same, no. And then he went away. And then when he came back, I went away. And then when I came back, he was away. And then I moved away. And then we never saw each other again either. Life just, when it was finished, it was finished. So it was nice to have that awareness of contract over without, I hate you, I need to break up with you sort of thing, without using the trauma to come apart.
Yeah. We had a week in Santa Fe. And we were just doing really deep spiritual work. And Santa Fe is a very deep spiritual place. And it was just kind of weird all week. And all week I kept thinking, I'm done, but I don't want a divorce. And apparently he was thinking the same thing. And we were at dinner and we sat down on our last night, and our wedding song was Sade's "No Ordinary Love." I mean, that's an old song, right?
Yeah,
We sit down at dinner. Yeah, that song starts playing. And I was like, "I got to talk to you." And he's like, "I got to talk to you too." And I was like, "I feel like this is done, but I don't want a divorce." And he said, "Oh my God, I'm so glad that you said that," because he said, "This week I keep feeling the same thing. Like it's over, it's done." But he's like, "I didn't want to hurt your feelings. And it's not like I want to not be with you, but I think it's done." And it's been that was just a little over a year ago that dinner happened. And it's been really, not really awkward. It's been really interesting. What does that mean? And then seeing that unfold. Okay, well, you can do some more things together. Okay, you can do this together, or you can just have fun together and just playing with that. But to break out of those paradigms and patterns, that's been hard too, because you had mentioned an open relationship. I don't want an open relationship. And that's fine. And it's like, how do we stay together and what do we do now? And it's been a beautiful unfolding.
Yeah. So it's like you're just taking it day by day. I think Esther Hicks says something similar. She said, your marriage vow should be, "I like you pretty much. Let's see how it goes."
Yes, exactly.
Like, we're having fun right now. Let's see how it goes. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't go, that's cool too. Like, just, be light about it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. And like that, can we have a new contract to learn something deep? Yes. Can we come together to create something? Absolutely. Or can we just play? It's all good.
What is Kristen saying here? Sorry, I'm listening. I'm just reading.
Oh,
these
you
as
got
well.
it.
How do you trust again? No, we talked about that one. What
After the
about
partner has passed. Wow.
So for people listening on radio, Kristen says, what about learning of the betrayal after the partner has passed over, so not able to confront in the body?
That's a tough one, but it's also not a tough one, because I've had a woman that I've worked with through that. We can talk to another person's soul. And that's something that
Which she does all the time.
Okay, perfect. And that my husband and I did that embodied when we were doing the healing work around this. We would have all these conversations, and then sometimes it'd be like, "I'm going to go in this room, you go in this room, let's talk to each other's souls." And we would just
Nice.
and have the conversation. Yeah, at the same time with each other's souls, and then we'd come back and be like, no more words are necessary. So have those conversations.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It just have the conversations and hear what you can hear or feel what you can feel, because that's also divinely orchestrated. Whether the partner who passes, maybe for some reason, it's not that they can't handle staying in it. That's not it. But that's not where their lesson comes from. Is that's they need to do the act and get out of there. And for you to be left in this place of, quote, no closure, that's the gift right there. The gift
yeah.
being in that place of, quote, no closure and getting out of there for that reason.
Yeah.
And it's also this huge awareness that the bodies aren't the person. It doesn't matter if you have a body or not, still talk to the soul.
Exactly. Yeah, the healing work is with you. It's not with the partner.
Mhm.
There's a movie like this with Jennifer Garner. What's that actress called?
Yeah,
Real name.
Gardner. Yeah,
Gardner.
Gardner.
Where she's in love with this guy, she's living with him, and then he dies, and she's hanging out with his friends. And as she moves through the movie, she finds out more and more about him, and who was I with? Like, I didn't even know the person I was with, and they were like this huge betrayal. And I think that when we need the other to explain themselves, then we take the story off us. Like, it's about me and my healing, and what am I thinking about myself, and who am I? It's not about what they've done, which is what you've described. That when you delve deep into it, your husband was just in pain and suffering, and he was looking for healing through infidelity, through having sex with other women, and really had nothing to do with you and who you are. But
Nope.
it's an opportunity to really identify with your higher self instead of your personality self that needs somebody to love them. Because
Yeah.
the soul doesn't need a partner.
No, not at all. And just
You don't need to be
yeah,
in love. We don't need
yeah,
partners. Jennifer Garner, yeah.
yeah.
Ghost of Girlfriends Past. Is that what it's called? Is that the name of that? You know that show, Kristen. Your healing, and what does Susan say? Your healing doesn't have to be dependent on anyone else. Exactly.
No, because if
Yeah.
it is, I don't feel like it's necessarily our healing. Because like I was talking earlier about that internal versus the external. What matters is what I do internally. How do I create my own peace? How do I create my own justice? How do I create my own acceptance? And if that's conditioned on somebody else, then I am a victim forever, because
Yeah.
I can only get over it if you give me closure. I can only get over it if you give me an explanation. I can only do this if you, so then I keep myself forever on the hook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I love this conversation because, people in the spiritual community love talking about spirit guides and channeling and life after death and UFOs and galactic consciousness. And a lot of the times, I was hearing Mateos de Stefano say this too about his spiritual community. There's amazing people gather around him. Do you know who he is? This South American young man who's he remembers all his past lives. He remembers Atlantis. Anyways, I may talk about his spiritual community on a podcast. A lot of the time people use that spiritual conversation to bypass feeling betrayed or betraying themselves, like bypass the internal healing. Like, I can talk
Yes.
about life after death and spirit guides and galactic consciousness, and I can channel and do all this sort of stuff, but I'm not looking within and really looking at what I believe about myself and who I am in this world and how I present myself in this world and what I think I need in order to feel happy or to feel good or to feel successful or confident or like I'm making a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you went there and said that too, because we are in a human body and it does hurt, and we should cry, and we do need to cry, and we can feel all the emotions. And I laid on the floor, for a couple of weeks and just sobbed, and I couldn't sleep and I
Yeah.
couldn't eat and I couldn't, like, heartbreak is real
Yeah.
and we have to feel it. It's just that keeping connected to the fact that, yes, I'm a human having an experience, and I'm a soul and I'm a spirit. And how can I bridge that gap and feel the full humanity of it, but then also transcend and remember who I am and find that connection, those touch points with the lessons.
Exactly. I have such an enlightened audience, honestly. Susan and Mish and Heidi and Kristen and Indigo 111. Someone's calling me. Says here, yep, like the old saying goes, it's not what happens to us, it's how we interact to what's happening.
Yes.
You know, I'd love to know how y'all live this. Do you know this stuff? Because knowing this stuff and living it is something completely
It's hard.
different.
Yeah. It's hard. It
Yeah.
really is. And you know, that was a huge healing moment. That was another one of my aha moments was I realized because for a while I was like, this is going to take me down. This is going to ruin my life. This is blah, 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 blah. And I had that very clear awareness. I can continue to tell this story forever, and I can be a bitter old woman, and I can really change my life. And if I do that, then they won. He won. All the other women won because I just gave them my power. And I'm not going to do that. I am not going to do that. They can do whatever they want, but I'm not giving away my power to be present, to be happy, to create the kind of life that I love. This is my life. I get to choose what to do with it.
I remember a girlfriend of mine was married to this man that wasn't my favorite person in the world, and he did all sorts of terrible things. And she was, you know, she had a slew of kids and renovated the houses, and you know, she was one of those super women. And he was an ex-sports star and with an ego. Anyway, wasn't one of my favorite people. And then they broke up, and she was seeing a counselor, and she said something to me that the counselor said, which I just love, something about when you are thinking about all the terrible things that he did to you, he's occupying space in your head and he's not paying any rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was get him out of his victim, because he's not paying rent in your head.
Yeah.
Every time you're thinking about how badly done by you've been, you know, he did this to me and he did that to me and he did this to me, and he's not paying rent and he's occupying space in your head. I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's what we do. We make it all about them and how we've been betrayed, as you say, instead of it's like, what am I learning from this?
And then again, like that, and how am I assisting the collective in this? Because it's all a story, it's all a narrative. And you know, the library, it's the library. What am I writing? And I don't want to write a narrative where I am the perpetual victim and where something ruined me. I'm going to write the success story. And that's what I love about, you know, you talk about the positivity. What can I do? How can I take this and make it into something better? And same thing with our marriage. It was like, I'm not going back to the old marriage. We're going to take this to a new level. We're going to find new levels of connection, commitment, and joy, because I create the story. I somehow created this, whether it was, you know, a soul contract for you know, both of us, we had something to learn, but I created this. And how am I going to create that next moment of my reality? And how am I going to do this not only on my behalf, but on behalf of other people as well? Because like you were talking about death, I've got a lot of friends who've gone through some really tough things. How can I blaze that trail and show you, okay, this is how we heal. This is how we feel. This is the direction that we look. And this is how we consciously create that next level of reality. And if I can do it, you can do it. And it's not easy necessarily, because we have to break down the way that we think. And again, that's like, that's sometimes like the power of the hypnosis too. How do we change? We have been told so many false truths about who we are and what we can and can't do. How do I think differently? And I love Course in Miracles, but they define miracle as the ability to see things differently. And how can I see this differently? And that's something that I go back to time and time again. How do I see this differently? And how can I continue to write a new narrative, not only for me, but for everybody else? And how do I bring the librarians into my life? And how do I stay connected?
You spoke to me in an email about how you loved listening to my conversation with Neil Gore. I love Neil. I have him on the show often. We were talking about AI, I think, on the last conversation, and how AI is impacting this world. And he was using ChatGPT at the time we were talking, and someone asked a question in the chat: why is trauma such a part of spiritual awakening? And he said, well, let's ask ChatGPT or whatever AI system he was using.
Yeah.
And it came back with such an eloquent answer. It said, because it's a pattern breaker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, I loved that. It's like we get stuck in these ruts, these patterns, like you were saying. I was putting everyone else first. I was being the dutiful wife. I thought I was being a good person. And then trauma happens, and it's like totally breaking that pattern that you couldn't even see at the time, because you were being the good, right girl, right? But was it serving you? Was it serving you to find your inner knowing, your inner being, to find the librarians? Like you were playing with spirituality as a fun toy, but not taking it seriously. Again, another pattern. So trauma just smashes those patterns. It breaks those patterns. Yeah.
Yeah. And the self-judgment, I realize now I was performing life. I was performing motherhood and wifehood, and I was performing. I wasn't being and feeling. I was doing. And it was like, nobody could have told me you're performing. You don't need to prove yourself. Nobody could have told me that. I would have been like, well, yes, I do. I need another A. I need another bar thing. I need another certification. I need, because I want to. No. That's performing, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So trauma helps you see it. But, it is easier to see it without the trauma. But sometimes I call them sledgehammer moments. I've had many of them. Sometimes we get hit over the head by a 4x2. Wake up! Wake up! You're asleep. Wake up! I've had a lot of sledgehammer moments.
Yeah. Because it had to take me to down to the point. Well, this is interesting too. I didn't tell you this. When I found out about the betrayal, the day that I found out about like the big one, we were fighting over my husband's phone because I had found an email, and he was trying to take it out of my hand, and he stepped on my foot as I stepped back. So it broke my pinky toe. Well, I am a doer. I am a mover. I teach fitness. Like I said, I dance. I do all of these things. I couldn't move. So not only could I like not perform, I was emotionally incapacitated. I was physically incapacitated. And I had to sit there and I had to feel and process. And it was like the only place I could go was to spirit, because I couldn't do anything else. And I hated it. But it was the biggest gift because I had to be, I couldn't do.
Yeah, exactly. I think COVID did that for a lot of us too, when they locked us in our houses.
Yeah.
Mind you, many people, what I found interesting, that the hospitals were shut and the beaches were shut, but the bottle shops were still.
Isn't that funny?
So you could either sit in your house and drink, or you could meditate. I just loved Gail's story on the last show. Was it the last show? Where her parents had died. She'd retired, and she was locked in. So she started meditating, and she had this spiritual awakening. I just loved that. Yeah, instead of drinking yourself into oblivion, you could meditate and find the universe within. Yeah, the universe, the librarians. So with your spiritual team, the librarians, have you sort of met others, parts of your spiritual team, like your higher self or your guardian angel, or like dead relatives that are a part of your spiritual team? Or
all of them.
All of that. Tell us about that.
Yeah. You know what? Again, it's funny because before all of this, I would feel connected. Like when my great grandmother passed away, I would always smell her soap, and I would have experiences like that. So I was always open to that. But now that I've had this awakening, now that I know with the librarians, I tap into people so much more easily. My husband's brother passed away. My grandma's passed away. Like all these people, I can just now get into that centered space, feel up into the frequency, and ask questions. And I'm so much more likely now to say, can you help me with this? What do you think about that? I just want to talk with this. Let me understand that. but also guides, my higher self, I do ask my soul, like, what's going on? What's going on with you? Like, is Laura on track here, or is Laura off track? And
Uh-huh.
how can I bring you more into alignment with me, and what can you guide me? And that's stupid because sometimes I still argue with myself. Recently, my higher self told me again, quit doing so much. You're doing way too much. You need to step back. You need to start receiving these gifts. And Laura starts arguing. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this. I'm just going to do this. And I just want to take care of this. And then I'm going to create this over here. And it's like my higher self is like, Laura, you can do whatever you want. But you asked for advice, and we're telling you now is the time to receive, not to do.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah. Oh, I'm a big one on receiving. I've got that
oh,
one. I've got that
yeah.
one down pat.
Okay,
Receiving.
good,
I used to
because
be a
that's what
doer.
I'm working on.
I used to be a doer, not so much of a doer these days. But let me ask you about hubby. What's his name?
Sean.
Sean. Hello,
Mhm.
Sean. So he obviously went on a deep healing journey as well to
Yes.
overcome the pain that made him, do what he was doing. Is he on board with the librarians and the spirit guides? Like, is he down the rabbit hole with you? Is he right
Oh,
there
yeah.
next to you? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is he channeling his own wisdom as well, or is he coming to you for advice, or is he, going within? Like, where is he at?
Both.
Mhm.
He he was a lawyer too. We met in law school.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and it's really interesting because his dad, who was also severely abusive, was an audio engineer, and he was all into frequency. So all of a sudden, Sean is like, "Oh my gosh, I understand frequency and the spirit
Oh,
and the elevation and where people are in dimensionality." Because he's like, "I knew that from my dad." And,
yeah,
oh my gosh, that suddenly makes sense. It's not just the realm of audio, it's the realm of existence. And it's like, yes. So
energy.
yeah, yeah. So he and I went to Peru, we worked with a shaman, like we've done
Nice.
all of this stuff. Yeah, he is so deep down the rabbit hole. Um, I wanna be totally clear and honest though, he had such a traumatic background. It's not like for him, whoop, it was healed. You don't just heal
Definitely
severe
not.
childhood trauma. Yeah.
Definitely
So
not.
so most of the time he's connected, he's right there, he meditates, he journals, he talks to his higher self. He's like, "Soul, what do you want me to know?" And then there's those very human painful times and you go, "Oh my god, what happened?" And then he comes right back in. He reconnects, he grounds, he meditates. It's those patterns, struggling to rewrite those patterns. But yeah, he is an entirely different person than he ever was before.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think if I've been talking to people for years, as I was telling you before, like about 15, 16 years on media and about 25 years, putting on new world teachers through events and stuff. And I'm struggling to think if I've heard of a story where the partners stay together and evolve together. Usually it's the tearing
Mhm.
apart and then the person has the spiritual awakening, and usually the partner does not come on board. Usually the man, I
Right.
hate to be, like,
It's
but
stereotypical for a reason. You know what I
stereotypical.
mean?
Yeah, I hate to be
Yeah.
stereotypical, but
Yeah.
I love that. That's such a cool story.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And it
I
was
love.
he says he really felt his soul step in. Like, when I first found out, it was like, "Why are you doing this? You made me do it." And you know what I mean? He was very defensive,
You made
very
me do it.
yeah. You know what I
It's
mean? It
your
it was
fault.
yeah, exactly. It was awful. And then it was a month or so in, and he came home because he was gone. And he came home, I had called him, and I said, "I really want you to just tuck me in. I need comfort, I just need you to come tuck me in." And it'll still make me cry, but he stood there and he tucked me in and he said, "I need you to know this has nothing to do about you. I am so broken, and this is all about me, and I am so broken." And he left. And it was like, "Okay, we have a ball game now." So then the next day it's like, "Thank you for saying that." And how do you want to go forward? And then I could be more vulnerable to him, and then he could share more things about what he was struggling with. And that was the crack. That was the crack that let the whole communication start. And he said he really feels like this was a soul moment where it was like, he said the way he describes it, it's like, Sean, get out of the way. I need to express this because your whole life is going to change if you do. And it has. It has.
Mm. Oh, beautiful. That's so beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Happy endings. Happy endings. Well, not that you've ended.
No,
Just beginning, really. Just beginning.
Right.
So
yeah. Because that contract ended. We're in marriage 2. We're in relationship 2. And
So-
yeah, but that's over.
you know, like you've come together for this personal story, but with a lot of light workers, especially women, especially when they're in their older years, you know, I hear it a lot. They're looking for love. They're looking for the twin flame, the soulmate. They might have had the husband, you know, they had the kids, they did all that, but they weren't on board with the spiritual ideas, and they split up, and they're looking for the soulmate. But you know, I had Michael Tamora. I love Michael Tamora, masterful teacher who was in the physical, but he's left his physical now. Talk about this contractual agreement that New World teachers have. Like you come together not so much for the romance or the personal story, but what can two beings, two souls in physical bodies do together to help with the shift in human consciousness? Like, how can you like move out of the personal story and work together to create, you know, more for the collective? And I've seen that with a lot of couples that it's not really about you and me, it's about what can we do together. It's almost like having an intimate relationship with your business partner in your spiritual work, really. Yeah. So I feel like that's the stage that maybe you and Sean are at. I mean, he's still working as a solicitor, as a lawyer, or
no? Well, yes and no. His original job fell away. He stopped working for 1.5 years and literally was in that state of being. So he did deep soul work for 1.5 years. He has gone back, and he is still practicing law, but in a very different capacity.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like what the librarians tell me is it's that God, goddess, king, queen, it's the masculine, feminine, and then it's that uniting of those two energies that is what we're kind of shifting into. And that's where all the and I don't like the word power, because so many people think it's like power over and I'm rising to power. But that's where the soul's power goes, is in that unity of divine masculine, divine feminine, because that is the piece of oneness. When we can assimilate on these relationships, then we just keep adding to that. And that is that piece of oneness.
And you two are a testament, as you said, you know, you've healed the relationship between you for the collective, because as I said, it's a rare story where I've heard two people with so much trauma heal and stay together. But it's possible, right? It's possible. So you're a testament to that being possible. Like your story is added to the collective, and it makes it more possible for other people who do want to stay together, even though they're suffering with their own traumatic, limiting ideas about themselves and playing out in ways that don't benefit relationships or each other. But it's possible to heal and stay together and to forgive. I think it's the forgiveness. That's, because most people do the betrayal, like, I'll never forgive you and I believe in you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that was that power of that unconditional love. Like Sean growing up was beat for doing things wrong, like he could chew wrong, he could breathe wrong, he could, you know what I mean? Like all of these different things. And it was very conditional. So to be able to do like the worst thing possible, you know, I mean, there's a lot of worse things, but for him to feel,
there's a lot of worse things.
There's a lot of worse things, but for him to feel I can still be loved, that was enormously healing.
Yeah.
And for me to also transcend that judgment, because there's a lot of people who are like, you're staying with him. Why? You know, what's wrong?
Exactly.
With you have no self-worth. Oh my God, I would never do that. Well,
exactly.
I would never do it either. And here I am because it felt right. And I had to trust myself. And I had to let go of all that judgment. And you know what? That's really hard sometimes to tell people, yeah, you cheated for 15 years, 5 women, and it's going to be
That's
good.
Laura, that's a powerful stat. I mean, that's what I got from my friends too when I was in my 20s and I was with that guy that was with another woman. Don't you feel second best? Isn't it, doing like dealing with your self-worth? You don't feel worthy and blah, 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 all that.
Right.
Why are you with him? Why are you with him? Why? Yeah, all that worth. And it's like a powerful stance to say my worth has nothing to do with what somebody else is doing with their life. Like
No,
it has nothing to do
nothing
with what my partner or my family or my friends are doing with their life. My worth comes from my connection to who I
to
truly
me.
am. Yeah.
Mhm.
To my
Mhm.
soul essence, to my source, to my higher self, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
God, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. Higher
Yeah.
self, soul.
And I was
Yeah.
betraying myself less by staying with him than I would have by leaving. And that was a little mind warp too. I
Right.
knew I wanted to stay. I knew we were doing this work together. I would have betrayed that knowing if I would have left. I knew our story wasn't done. I heard that same voice that said, "This is the man you're gonna marry," also said, "This story is not done." I didn't know
Yeah.
what that meant, but I stayed to find out, and now I know.
Yeah. We've got 10 minutes to go. I'm just going to remind people that you're listening to ATP Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness. We've been talking about getting connected to your soul and getting over betrayal and unconditional love. It's been a juicy conversation. We're on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3. And my guest today is Lora Cheadle, who has shared something with us she has never shared publicly before about connecting to her spirit guides called the Librarians, who are a collective of interdimensional consciousness or information. What have they shared with you? Because they talk more globally than personally, even though it's really one story. The personal story is the global story and the global story is the personal story. What have they shared with you about the future, where we're going, where consciousness is going on planet Earth? Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, so much. Okay. We've got they say in the last 50 years, we have really evolved from that individual to that collective consciousness.
Right.
So that just keeps rising and that keeps rising and that keeps rising. Now what we've got coming in, and this will no shock to anybody, I don't think, but really that divine feminine is coming in at a very anchored level. We've had some ups and downs. We've had some kind of toxic spikes. We are doing that union in to a level that we have not done before. Before that really anchors in though, we're going to have high spikes of toxicity. We are going to have a lot of technology that goes offline, they've been telling me, because we
Lots of
need to
people
be
say that. Mhm,
mhm, mhm,
mhm.
because we need to be, like, taken offline, so to speak. They're also telling me that so many of the things that we are creating technologically are really what is happening on the soul level, on that interdimensional level.
Yeah,
Things
I
like
agree.
yeah, things like, the World
The
Wide
internet,
Web, the
the World
internet,
Wide Web and
exactly.
telepathy. Yeah. Mhm,
Yes,
mhm,
yes, all of these things where we think it's amazing that we can FaceTime somebody on a phone, we can
mhm.
do that. We don't need the
Consciously.
technology. Yeah,
Exactly.
so
Mhm.
we're being expanded through technology to say what's possible, this high-speed travel, this communication. So now the technology starts going down, and every time the technology goes down, that's when we're tasked to be like, "How can I do it without the technology?" Because
Right.
we don't need that technology, it's the technology of the soul.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm,
absolutely.
mhm.
I thought that would be a bit further down the line, but yeah, everyone does talk about the 3 days of darkness, the internet going out. I often think to myself, because I'm on the internet a lot,
Yeah.
I do love the beach. What will I be doing? I'll be going to the beach a lot.
Yeah,
Go to the beach, go to the beach. But
yeah.
if I lived in the country, I would spend a lot of time, yeah, growing vegetables in the garden. Yeah, that's what I do when
Mhm.
technology goes down. But yeah, a lot of people have spoken about that. I guess I'm not looking forward to it, and I am looking forward to it in a way. But I do hope that I'm
Exactly.
somewhere more rural where I can play on the beach and play in nature,
Yeah,
rather than
and
be on the internet updating
right,
my
and
website.
Right, right. And the reason that they say that we're doing that, like how this all balances, is because lessons will be put behind us. We will no longer, as the collective, have the lesson of self-judgment, abandonment, betrayal. So if you think about how would I be when all of my lessons have been learned? It's this deeper level of peace. And that's what we're moving into. And that's
Totally.
actually the fight that we're experiencing now. People, society, systems are still being like, well, maybe I want a lesson. Well, maybe a little chaos and drama is good. Oh my God, I don't want to be bored. And what the librarians like, that's why they're here. Here are the lessons. We've learned them. Trust us, we've got it. You want to learn that lesson? Okay, you've got a few years to learn it because we're moving that lesson behind us. You no longer need it. And that we have that kind of panic as a collective.
Yeah.
It's going to be too good. It's going to be too boring. If I'm not working on something, do I have purpose? And what the librarians keep bringing in is you do have purpose, but you can put that drama behind you. And that's the struggle.
Yeah. Thanks, Diane. I'm on 200 acres, Mish says. I'm going to come to your place, Mish. I can find silence. Yeah, Mish is in Australia. I think you're in Queensland, though. She's not exactly around the corner from me. But what was I going to say? I had a question posed or something posed in my mind, and then I started reading the comments. What do we got left? We've got about 8 minutes left to go. Okay, she says. You have to give me your address. Yeah, I have thought about it'd be great to be on land. South Australia. Oh, she's in South Australia. Oh, my mum was born in South Australia. Great to be on land when that time happens. I've gone totally blank. What were you just talking about before? Before I read the comments?
Exactly. First, we were talking about like the darkness and that we're create the technology, and the technology is internal in service of joy and moving past those lessons.
What I was thinking as you were talking is that, we have these conversations on the show where we're talking about that personal enlightenment, that spiritual evolution, 3 days of darkness, the flash, we're moving to a 4D, 5D world. And then you look out into the news and you see the atrocities that are happening across the world, especially in Gaza and Palestine and, Israel, and bombing and trauma. Like, those people are not thinking about this stuff. I wonder how that will be reconciled, because there is so many different bubbles of reality that exist on this planet with 4 minutes left. Yeah. What do the librarians say about reconciling that mass sort of trauma, like the hypnosis of people that think that to murder innocent people means that they get accolades in heaven? Or I need to kill my enemy, I need to wipe them out so they stop wiping us out. Those sort of thought forms. I need to kill more in order to have a better world. Like, how do we reconcile that?
Right. So much just around, and you're right, that could be like an hour.
Yeah.
But it's the extreme forms of the duality. And that sometimes when we see those extreme forms of duality, we judge them as, wow, this is really bad, this is really dark, this is really backwards. Sometimes that's really the most advanced. Sometimes when you're in that strongest polarity of the duality, it means you're very close to that tipping point happening. And that in a lot of these parts of the world, they are more ancient than we are. They have been through a lot more than we are. And there's a lot of growth that is about to happen there. And if we can get out of the judgment that this is really bad and dark over there, and be like, yay, they're almost there. They've almost put that lesson of death, destruction behind them. They are almost there.
Exactly. Funnily enough, we had one of the young, had a channeling from one of the beautiful young boys that was killed during the October 7th massacre at the music festival, channel exactly that message from the afterlife. Like, yeah, even though he and his friends were mowed down, it was such an interesting channeling. But I just wanted to show this picture of Lora in Egypt, like totally connected there. It's such a beautiful picture. And before we go, and this is the webpage I've created for her, which you can see her books. I think your books don't really talk about the subjects that we spoke about, spirit guides and all that sort of thing today. Maybe you need to do another book with the wisdom from the librarians. But the books that you've got out there is Flaunt, Drop Your Cover, and Reveal Your Smart, Sexy, Spiritual Self. Yeah, and 5 tools.
That touches a little.
Fuel up and thrive. It's not burnout, it's betrayal. And and you'll see us. These are the different headings that I've played with today: the Librarians, Interdimensional Collective, Betrayal and Awakening. And I have never shared this before. We're going to see how the different things
And it's
go.
true. Yeah, it's true. Especially like, no, I don't talk about the librarians, but I have never honestly ever said, yeah, our soul contract's done. People would be like, and what?
Yeah. Well, with me, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it because I've lived it. It's amazing to feel that. Like it's like you're having a nice time with someone, and then maybe it's nice, maybe it's not, but you're in it,
done.
and then it's like it's done. And that sort of finality, and I tried to explain, like, we're finished, but not I hate you, go away, but this is done, and then it's done. It's amazing
celebratory.
feeling.
Yeah, it's like we
It's
did
amazing
it.
feeling. Yeah, we did it. It is celebratory.
Yeah.
Darling one, it has been such a joy to meet you and hear your story today. I've loved this conversation. Thanks for all the Luscious ladies online. You are a fabulous audience. We love you. I love hearing your comments. I never hardly get questions because they're so enlightened, the people that do show up for the lives. They've always got such enlightened things to say. But I did hear with quite a few of you that you've all touched betrayal. You've all felt it. Yeah, maybe betrayal of the self rather than feeling betrayed by others, maybe feeling betrayed by
life,
by your family. I don't know, when your parents don't treat you as parents supposed to. Maybe you can feel betrayed. Maybe they're alcoholics. Maybe they're violent. Whatever, you can feel betrayed because parents are supposed to love you unconditionally. There's so many ways that we explore the betrayal adventure here on planet Earth. But darling, it's been such a joy. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I better tell people your website. It's all the links. I've popped all the links on that page. We've got you're on all the, you're on X, Facebook, YouTube, Insta, website. All the links are in the show's description. If you hit that link in the description, you can find Lora. And I look forward to the Librarians book that comes out, the next book that you go.
Absolutely.
And we'll get you back on the show to hear more from the Librarians. Thanks, everybody. Big love to all of you. This week on Elevate, I'm going to be talking about stepping outside of the 3D matrix, the fear, separation, money matrix, and moving more into a 4D, 5D consciousness. That will be coming up on Elevate, which is me. Thanks, Susan and Mish. Big love to all of you. Bye for now.